What's up, YouTube? So before I start this video, it was brought to my attention that I never did a Father's Day video. And you're right. The original plan with the Father's Day video was supposed to be the next El Camino video. You know, I did the Mother's Day video, and then I was going to do the next one would have been the Father's Day. But you guys know plans changed, and I ended up buying the El Camino, and then that just, it just went wherever it went. So I'm going to take this opportunity. I know it's late. I know it's a couple of months later, but I'm going to take this opportunity to make this the Father's Day video, because I think the messages still apply regardless of the day, regardless of whether it's officially Father's Day or not. So obviously, if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead to the work. It's fine. I'm not offended. I don't even know, so I don't care. But those of you, as always, that listen to the messages I give, I appreciate it. I always do everything with the best of intentions. So basically, the only thing I really want to say in regards to Father's Day or even being a father, although I do not have any children, this is what I want to say. For those of you that do have kids, especially if you have a son, well, actually, it really goes for both. It's just different reasons, different circumstances. But for those of you especially that have a son, you guys have to play a role in his life. Listen to what I'm saying. You have to play a role in his life. Regardless of how big a role, he has to know who you are. You have to play a role. Women can absolutely do a good job of raising children, but they cannot raise men. They can't. I don't care. I'm not going to argue about it. You can say what you want to say, feel how you feel, but they can't. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. She can teach him how to be a good kid. She can raise him to be a productive citizen. But there are things. It's just like a guy really can't teach a little girl how to be a woman. That's why usually girls that are raised by men turn out to be tomboys. There are just things that are needed. An ideal situation, the kid has the balance of both. There's things he's going to learn from his mother. There's things he's going to learn from his father. I know in every situation it's not perfect. I know every situation can't happen that way. But your role, regardless if it's a male, whether you have a boy or a girl, your role is important as a father. See, nowadays, you see all these boys running around now, right? They got purses. They're wearing their girlfriend's jeans. They calling each other boo. I've never called none of my boys boo or hubby or whatever they calling each other. This is what happens when there's no male influence in their life. See, the downside to a woman raising a man, trying to teach him how to be a man, is that he learns to deal with things like a woman. That's the way he learns. He learns to handle things like a woman does. And that's fine for women. But a man has to deal with things differently than a woman does. That's why these dudes are all emotional now. They're confused. They don't know. And, it's the fault of every guy who is not influencing the men or the little boys or the young guys around them. Whether or not you want to be a role model doesn't matter. If there are younger men in your life, whether they're nephews, whether they're your own kids, whether it's the kid next door, it's your job as a man to always be a strong male figure, whether you want to or not. Because when you don't do it, this is what happens. This would happen. These dudes is running around with makeup on. And this is not about being gay or whatever. These dudes are just confused. And if there's not a male in their life to tell them that, to point out these things, they won't know any better. You know, women, y'all know I've gotten on y'all a few times about making men soft. See, that all started when y'all started letting men wear pink and start telling them it's cute. When you start telling these dudes it's cute, when they was in pink, it opened up. That was the gateway right there. But realistically, if they're raising these little boys, and these boys are growing up around all women, he's going to pick up women habits, women behavior. And the thing is that if you know you have a kid out there, and I know there is a million stories about can't get along with the mother, she won't let you see the kid, whatever. You guys got to fight for that. You guys have to fight for that. There's more at stake than just dealing with her mouth. You have to fight for that. The same way a lot of dudes be trying to fight that they don't have to pay child support, y'all got to fight for custody. You have to fight for visitation. Your role is important. Look, just look at what's going on now. Look at the state of men right now. It's sad. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her with none of these little guys. It's important. I really, you know, and I'm pretty sure it's not the first time you've heard this, but it's true. Your role is important. You got these little girls running around that's growing up too fast. They run into these older guys. You know, they got all these daddy issues and all these other things. They running looking for love in the wrong places. And a lot of guys have taken advantage of that. Probably some of the guys watch it. You guys have taken advantage of women that's had daddy issues. We've all known women. And you know when she got them kind of issues. You know, and I guess you tell her you love her and you get what you want. You know, we've all been out there and seen that. But the thing is, that's still somebody's daughter. And somebody's doing that to your daughter because you're not there. Think about what I'm saying. Your daughter right now might be cuddled up with some dude with a purse. You like that? It's a beautiful image, isn't it? It's preventable. It's preventable. All you got to do is play a role. Let her know what to expect. The type of man she should not waste her time on. The type of man that, you know, what she should, you know, because these women got to raise their standards. You know, these women have to raise their standards when it comes to men. But if there's no example, they don't know. So these dudes that are good for nothing are out here with these women, ruining them. There's probably some of y'all too. Yeah, y'all out here ruining them. Some good women that's been hurt. But this is all preventable. This is all fixable. All you gotta do is play a role. If you don't want your daughter to grow up to be with a certain type of man, don't be that type of man. And if you don't want your son to grow up in the streets to be another statistic, keep him out the street. See, now, I'm a little different. Not totally unique. I know there's some that probably had the same circumstances. I grew up with a father, but I was also in the streets. So you say, how does that happen? It happens. That's the thing. The allure of the streets is strong. And that's what all parents have to understand. The allure of the streets is strong. But the thing about it is, if you have a child that travels to be out into the street, you have to make sure that that kid is equipped to be able to handle itself. There were things that my parents taught me that even though I was in places I probably had no business doing, things I probably had no business doing, I still conducted myself in a way. I still showed respect to people. My morals were still there. And those are things that I learned at home. Everything else, I learned in the streets. But I learned the core values at home. And that's important. I'm not a felon. Because that's by pure luck. But these are things that I learned at home. And this is the kind of things that you need to instill into your kid. It's too late to talk to him when he's locked up. Because when they get locked up, that's when they find Jesus. Anybody looking for God, he's in jail. That's where they always find him. But it's kind of late. It's late for you at that point. But you can stop him before he gets to that point, before he makes a mistake that he's going to be too old to have a productive life when he comes out. I made a lot of mistakes in my teens and 20s, but I was able to turn it around. I was able to be who I am now. So I don't regret my past at all. I've made huge changes in my life. But throughout all of it, my core values is what kept me from going too far. I went far, but I didn't go too far. I didn't get in any situations that could not be turned around. And that's why it's important. You have to instill in your kids the basic values that they need to understand. They're going to make choices. They're going to make mistakes. But what's important is that you give them the core values and you're also able to work with them when they do make those mistakes and talk to them when they make those mistakes. Because if you've been out there, you have a different perspective. And that perspective can keep them from doing something that they can't undo. Understand what I'm saying, people? Hope y'all paying attention. But these are the things that's important. Y'all see what's out in the street these days. Every generation faces new challenges that the generation before didn't have to deal with. But being equipped for whatever your generation is important. You guys have to play a role, whatever role it is. I don't know everybody individually. I don't know your circumstances. But whatever role, even if it's one day a week, whatever role it is, give that kid something. Talk to that kid. Give that kid something that he's going to remember or she's going to remember. Because if she doesn't remember nothing else, they'll remember that they saw you every week. If you can't see them every day. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm only saying this to the dudes that's just outright deadbeats. The dudes that's just outright making babies and walking away. I have zero respect for you. None. There's no reason for it at all. But on the flip side, for the guys that maybe had a baby, maybe young or whatever, and has trouble reconciling with the mother, I understand that too. Listen, I've been in this situation. I was told I was a father, and I raised a kid for 3 years before I learned different. So I understand it's hard, but the whole entire time I was there, like clockwork, every week I was there. Every Friday to Sunday, the kid was with me, like clockwork. Never missed a week. And I was young, but it happened. The girl is probably, I think she's 18 now. I don't know her anymore, but I hope she's doing well. You know, I keep expecting her to show up to find out what happened. And I'm prepared for that. But it's not my child, so my rights are limited. But for those of you that know that that's your child, should nothing keep you from that. You should never have that type of story where you don't see your kid for 15 years or whatever. Shouldn't happen. So that's it. Now I'm gonna find some Father's Day music for this video. It's not as many as his Mother's Day music. Not as many mother songs. You know, there's a lot more mother songs than father songs. But I'm gonna find some father's music for this. And whatever songs I find, I want y'all to pay attention. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I appreciate everybody who watches the channel. I do. But it really bothers me if you care more about your car than your kid. And honestly, I would rather you didn't watch. Cars is cool. Your kids are more important. I don't have kids, so I can have 15 cars. But if you have kids, you shouldn't have 15 cars. And you shouldn't love your car more than that. If you do more work and spend all that money on your car and are not taking care of your kid, I'd rather you don't watch. I really, I keep telling y'all, this YouTube thing, it's cool, but it's not my life. It really isn't. I don't care about subscribers. I don't care about views. I really don't. I appreciate everybody that watches it, but this is not my life. So, anyway, I'm going to get to work. You guys are going to watch the video. I appreciate it. But think about what I said. Think about what I said. Even if it's one day a week. That's all I'm saying. All right. Thanks for your time.
And I'm not cocky, I'm confident. So when you tell me I'm the best, it's a compliment.
Okay, so we're back on the 54 Bel Air. When I picked this car up, if you guys remember from the other video, from the intro, that there was a puddle on the floor. So that looked to be transmission fluid when I checked it. So I want to, almost out. So what I'm going to do is get ready to jack the car up. Let me see if there's anything in here. I'm going to jack the car up and just make sure fluid's nice and clean. But I'm going to jack the car up and see what's going on down there and make sure it came from this car. But I'm going to double check it. And you people, you're supposed to check the transmission fluid when the car is running. I'm just checking, hold on. It's actually, like it has more than it needs. There's some grit in here. You see that right there? There's some grit. So we're gonna dump the pan regardless and see what's going on in the transmission. It was hesitating in reverse, but we're gonna see anyway what's going on. All right, so we're gonna drop the pan and cut you guys back on. Hold on a second. Before I even do that, let me check the oil. See where that's at right now. Oh, it's time for an oil change. All right, gonna take care of that too while I'm down there. All right, YouTube, it's time to get to work. Alright, so I'm under the Bel Air. As you guys can see, there's a pretty good transmission leak right there. So, looking around, what you look for is evidence so you can try to see where the leak is coming from. Now, if you look at this exhaust pipe, you can see that it's wet from here all the way to about right here. So from here down, even the clamps are still wet. See? Transmission fluid. So we're losing fluid in this area. Now, I checked the back seal. That's dry. It's a little wet over here. But this could be residual, meaning that the oil could have came from here and hit here, because on this side is wet, so there would be no way for it to get from here over to this side without spraying anything else along the way. So I think my problems are going to be in the pan, because on both sides, even on this side, this pipe is wet. So they're wet generally in the same area. The front is pretty dry. I am going to just, get a better look and make sure that there's no fluid leak up in the bell housing. But they put the drain right here on the front of the pan. Now, I guess if I was on a lift and the car was level, I could drain it that way. But since I have the car up on ramps, I'm going to have to just drop the pan and do it. Well, I'm taking the pan off anyway, but they should have put this drain either on the bottom or in the back. I don't know. Anyway, so let me give you guys one other piece of advice. You can see the rack and pinion setup that they put in this car. The other advice I want to give, if you guys have like an original engine and tranny setup. Now, this is not original to the car, but I don't think it was rebuilt either. So this car is geared for working. This is all original stuff. I don't think this tranny was rebuilt. I don't think the engine was rebuilt. But what needs to be done is that when you are replacing fluids in older vehicles such as this that have not been rebuilt, then give it what it asks for. Don't give it synthetic. Dex 3, you're good to go. But don't give it synthetic. Because this motor in tranny, I believe, is a 79. And with the 79 engine, synthetic wasn't around. It's not made for it. When you start putting in the wrong fluids, you're going to have problems. Give it what it was asking for. So that's it. So anyway, I'm going to drop it down. Let me clear it up just in case I confused anybody. If you happen to have a crate motor or a new transmission or something like that, and the components were made to work with synthetic, then it's fine. But if you have a motor that has not been rebuilt, original to your car or just old, use the conventional stuff. It will be fine. Don't believe the hype that all of a sudden you're going to pour it in and your car is going to be 10 times better. Alright, use the right stuff. But anyway, so I'm getting ready to drop this pan and get some work done. Alright, it's time to get to work. Alright YouTube, so I just finished torquing up the pan bolts, and I was getting ready to move on to dumping the oil, and something caught my eye. Now if you see right here, this is the bracket they made to hang the exhaust, but they have this bolt pressed up against this brake line. Can you guys see that? I don't know how clear you're able to see that. So this is a safety concern because, for one, the exhaust has causes this to move, as you see, right? So this moves. Now this bolt is loose, see? Now as this bolt is loose, it rubs up against this brake line. And we can't have that. So before I dump the oil, I'm going to take this loose. This thing isn't even tight. I'm going to take this loose. Hold on. Try to take it loose, and I'm going to need both hands. So I'm going to try to take this loose, and then there's a bracket right here. Why didn't they just put it on here? See, these are the kind of things, YouTube, I don't understand how these other guys do these things. These are things I try to understand sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bracket from here, and I'm going to attach it to here. This is solid. It's not going anywhere. It's not attached to anything but the cross member. So I am going to take this bracket off, and hopefully I should be able to reshape it so that way I can make it fit on here. Alright, put you guys back on. Alright, so I found another one. See this one right here? This hook, I don't even know what it goes to. I don't know why they put that there, but you can see the brake line is laying, hold on, right against the threads, right against this bolt in the back. So we're going to take this out. Safety check, people. Safety check. See, I got to take care of my people. Let me get this out of here. Thanks, man.
I like that.
Thanks. Thanks, man.